A couple of finds I found. There's, of course, you're going to find a trillion things when you start getting familiar with the powers that be. But anyways, because it shocked me a lot. I mean, I've been delivering wine for a long time now, and looking forward to changing pages because I don't really, I don't believe in drinking wine and stuff like that. And so, in a sense, I'm not being true to my view. But anyways, that's just so you know, that is what I do right now. I drive a truck, and it's gotten me out of a lot of the ditches and helping me get some of my financial issues done, which was what God wanted me to do in the first place. But this is probably one of the seasons where change might come. But just so you know why I ran into this is because I used to collect these kind of wooden boxes because I use them for shelving all over the place. I've gotten tons of them, but as you move around, sometimes it just doesn't feel right to stack them in the next place, just so you're like, oh, we'll try something new. So, but anyways, I still use them for throwing rags or whatever in, and I found this one probably like a year ago, because back when I used to listen to, when I first started getting turned on to John Todd talking about how he was raised in the Illuminati. And John Todd, you should listen to all of his stuff, okay, especially if you're Christian. He teaches you a tremendous amount of stuff that's going on to get a good Christian perspective on things. I actually agree with him just about everything he talks about, except for, like, moving into Christian camps and things like that, because you don't want to have a house that gets invaded and all that stuff. I don't know, because he was saying that it was going to happen soon, and that was about 30 years ago or 40 years ago, and I don't think it's happened yet. So that might have been just a perspective from one of his teachers, throwing that out there. But it doesn't disregard or doesn't put any weight against his testimony. Other than that, I think he got most of it right. I think he got all of it right. It's just a matter of a couple little things that it's not that big of a deal. Telling people to move out of their houses and things like that. Just so you know, when you listen to him, I would say I pretty much agree with everything he says. And he was also a huge portion of Jack Chick's backup for hard hitting testimonies, like a few other people, like Charles Chinnicky and Alberto Rivera. Those are like the three, I think, excuse me if there's more, people that had extreme encounters with the big cats, and then they told him about it, and he made a lot of his comic books about that. But anyways, John Todd, in one of his early teachings, I believe it was, talking about the book called Anne Graham's book, The Atlas Shrugged or whatever, and he says that Philip Rothschild was one of the he's the biggest cat in Rothschild Tribunal, like of London, and they are like the ones right underneath Lucifer. Like, I mean, they are huge. London is one of the biggest places where the whole thing is, like, orchestrated. It's a huge place. I mean, there's a lot of them all around the world. We know, like, California, like LA, San Diego kind of area. There's a lot of hardcore areas, but London is a really big one, where John Todd says, I wouldn't be surprised if that's literally where where he really dwells. He literally dwells there. If he's the God of this world, he might be ruling straight from there. Lot to talk about on that note, and that's why I want you to listen to John Todd, the whole set. Listen to all of his set. It's very helpful. Bits and pieces are exciting, and sometimes it's kind of like, I don't want to listen to all that because it's so huge. But take it bit by bit, or just take it all and just study it yourself out and figure out what he's talking about. But I was just really shocked. I was like, Philip Rothschild on this wine, and it looks like he's friends with Robert Mondavi. I don't know if he's like Robert Mondavi is just like teaming up with a huge guy so he can start this giant, like, vineyard or whatever. But this one must be huge, because the wine is called Opus 1. Okay, and as you're in this company, you start to find that there are a ton of wines that don't cost a lot of money. They don't cost that much. You find most of your bottles on the shelf, they cost around $8 to $10, $12, something like that. I thought wine was always like, whoa, expensive, but most of it's not. there's tons of grocery brands, and most of the grocery ones, you know, you're going to pay $10 to $20 at the most. I mean, most of you can get a lot of wine for like really cheap, really cheap. Well, Opus One is not cheap. Opus One is extremely expensive, and I believe this is one of the ones that I did like the last time, because another company I was with when I first got into this wine delivery, which is, if you want to know why I did it, because it's like I was just throwing my I just answered a whole bunch of ads on Craigslist, and this is the one that happened to hire me. I didn't even know it was wine until I pulled up to the place. I was like, wine, what's that all about? And so I pulled in there, and they hired me, and I was like, okay, well, $10 is better than $0. So I started to do it, and got involved there. Thought that was kind of weird, and but I thought it was even weirder not being able to pay your bills. So I just did it, and kept on planning on getting out, and I never did. So it's just like, and then by now you get 3 vacations a year and all this stuff. So it's a hard situation, and it would take a bit of my faith to stretch. It would stretch me to get out of there. So that's the season for that now after all this time. But anyway, forgot what I was talking about. So John Todd mentions this guy as though he's like one of the big cats. Okay. And, oh yeah, it was like the very last day before that last company got eaten up by where we're at right now, I did a delivery to Costco. And some people probably think Costco, oh, cheap stuff there, but no. They got an order of wine there, okay, just to let you know that wine can be expensive. They ordered 5 cases, actually it's 4.5 cases, and several of the cases were actually 6-bottle cases, okay. It was 4.5 cases of wine, and the whole order for their price, the store's price, was over $5,000. Over $5,000 for 4.5 cases of wine, and some of them were like half cases anyway, because there were only 6 bottles per case anyway. So I'm talking about not that many bottles of wine for over $5,000. That was the store's price. I'm talking about, like, you've got to be kidding me. And I believe Opus One was one of those prices. If you don't want wine education or whatever, education never hurt anybody, just make sure you use it for the right thing, you know. And I'm exposed to all kinds of different things, and I take a very holy Christian view on everything, and just say that's right, that's wrong, and types of things like that. And as we're growing, we're able to step further and further into it, you know. And some people who don't deliver wine, and they can rebuke me for delivering wine, that's fine. You know, maybe there's some kind of wine in your life, something that needs to be dealt with, and that will be. It's just, I don't defend it. That's just where I'm at right now, and that's a really big thing. You know, your job is a really big thing. So that's just straight talk. You know, like I always do, always super raw talk, and that's where I'm at. I just thought that was it really freaked me out, because it's like you hear all this stuff that John Todd is talking about, right? And then he's like, and everything he's talking about is all stuff that we're related to. Now, Philip Rothschild, I have absolutely no connection to. I never even heard of him. I guess Rothschild banking. You barely hear about that throughout the mix of everything. Most people probably have never heard that name. I think they made the candy bar years ago. Oh, I should have had a Rothschild. It was like some European commercials back in the 80s or something like that. That might have been his. I'm just guessing. And also, look at that, Roths. I'm almost wondering if the Roth's grocery store is named after him or not. I don't know. After you start getting exposed to all this stuff and you realize that they own everything, it starts to make you think, like, what else? What is all? You can't help but just wonder what else is going on in there, you know. But so I'm not sure what's going on at this place, Robert Mondavi's winery. But he must be somehow connected to the one of the top chiefs of the planet. You know, I mean, this guy is huge, and I don't know about how much more expensive other things get or wine or whatever. I don't know a lot. I mean, I only know that I move it from place to place, and they give me money. I pay my bills, and I buy tracks, and I stick tracks in beer cases and pop cases, and I've done that by the hundreds and thousands for years now. But it's time for me to, you know, change pages and get out. But that's between you and me, which is the whole planet. It's funny because I was talking to my roommate the other day about, like, getting jobs and things like that, and some of the things that are appropriate for job type of world and not. And he says a lot of companies now will actually ask you for your password to your Facebook account so they can look through your stuff and find out, are you one of those kind of people that are going to embarrass the company down the line? You know, they say, yeah, you sound great. Well, do you have any quirks in there that we need to be worried about, you know? And you can look at someone's Facebook and find out enough, but I guess they even ask for your password, and they just, you know, of course you can change it later on, but they wanted to look at you today and see what kind of like things are in your life to find out, well, are you going to be off the charts enough in some place to embarrass the company, you know? That's why getting into a serious company is a really healthy thing, because it really sobers you up to know that this is not just some place I go make my money. This is like it's being a part of a job is a very, very serious thing. You know, it's like you're part of a family there, and the family doesn't want to disrupt their business. So their business is a serious thing that affects your whole life, you know. And that's why it's kind of cool. It's almost like when a young girl, she's crazy and lives like a fool for a while, and then she ends up pregnant, and then she has to sober up because she's got a baby to take care of, and it just changes your whole life. You know, big things like that change your whole life. People in our life, jobs, things like that, relationships, all these kinds of things, they shape our lives tremendously. But anyways, a lot of talk just because of that name showed up on the box, and it really freaked me out, truthfully, because I'm just like, whoa, you know, that's huge. It's like I mean, really, truthfully, everything we deliver, everything that no matter what company you live for, you're gonna be working underneath the big cats anyway, whether it's alcohol or not. I mean, these people literally worship the devil. So no matter what company you work for, there's a really good chance that you're under the big cats anyway. And the only reason I'm not too excited about being in the alcohol industry is because it's just a little too close to home, you know, a little too close to home. So, and I know, like Smith Wigglesworth says, he wouldn't even touch a penny that he could have touched on that came from alcohol money. He said, I wouldn't touch one penny of it because of his morals were so strong, and that I have a lot of respect for. So I'm not going to lose my grip on the whole matter. I just am where I am. I don't defend some things because it's just like, you really can't get around it, you know. It's just kind of the way it is. And so some people get into certain things for a while and whatever, stepping stones. But anyways, enough jibber jabber about this whole thing, just because I thought it was interesting about this guy's name on the wine. Amen.